Chapter 4. Amory. Heart pounding, I watched the Voltig collapse into the beach, sending a spray of sand up around it. Noallia's sword pierced near its shoulder, a blow severe enough to send it toppling out of the sky, but not a position I expected to kill the beast. Noallia grunted, stood up, and stalked toward the shadow monster. "Wait." I stretched an arm toward her. "It might not be dead." "Oh, it's dead," she grumbled, marching up to the body. I kept my sword ready, but she seemed confident in her safety. She planted her boots 2 feet from the beast and pulled her sword out. The tearing sound was something you'd expect from a sword cutting through a pile of compacted leaves, not a creature that had been flying only minutes earlier. And instead of blood, shadowy ashes dripped off her blade. She pointed it at the Voltig. "See? Dead." I nodded, scanned the skies for any others, and, on not seeing any, returned my sword to the sheath on my back. "I'm glad." I eyed her sword as she tucked it in her sheath. "Is your blade poisoned?" She stepped away from the monster. "If you know of a poison that will affect the shadow beasts, you're smarter than I gave you credit for." I shook my head. "I was trying to think of a reason why your sword killed it in a non-lethal location." She raised her chin at me as if I'd asked something impertinent. I crossed my arms and met her gaze. It was a reasonable question. She pursed her lips and stepped closer to me. "I'll tell you because I feel indebted to you for your help here." Her finger pointed at my chest. "But then I'll consider that debt paid." A smirk lifted one side of my mouth. "A bit of information in exchange for risking my life. Sure, that sounds reasonable." I unfolded my arms and stepped closer to her, closing the few inches that she'd left between us. I lowered my voice to fit in the close space. "For the record, I do not consider any debt between us. I would kill a shadow beast for any human." "So, I should not tell you about my sword." Her voice trembled, and my smirk grew. If she found me half as attractive as I found her, my plans would be much easier to make happen. "Tell me whatever you like." I spoke only loud enough to be heard above the waves crashing behind us. "I am grateful for any information you share, especially if it will aid me in protecting my people. And..." I paused and waved at the dead monsters. "I would hate for you to feel indebted to me for all of this." A soft grumble vibrated deep in her throat, so much like a growl that I laughed out loud. She stalked away from me, toward the children and the woman at the fire. The children broke away from the woman and raced toward Noallia, giving the Lisbeth that had fallen near the fire a wide berth. The 2 older ones crashed into Noallia's legs while she scooped up the smallest, just a toddler, and gave her a tight squeeze. I followed Noallia, but stayed a few feet away from her while she spoke to the children. A crashing set of new footprints drew my gaze to another forest path that led to this beach. I drew my sword again as 2 more men raced onto the sand. They saw me and both raised weapons. Noallia thrust the toddler into the woman's arms and yelled something about taking the children home as she ran between me and the newcomers. She spread her hands, turning one palm toward me and the other at the 2 men. "Reverend, Lonnie, put your weapons down. He helped us." They lowered their weapons, but did not put them away. The taller one stepped closer to Noallia and narrowed his eyes at me. He looked like an effective warrior. "Noallia, do you know who he is?" A wry smile crossed her face. "I believe his name is Amory. Should I introduce you?" He gripped the hilt on his sword tighter. "He is the scourge of the basin, the blade of the edge, an undefeated terror to any who oppose him. What is he doing here?" Ah, so my reputation was not as unknown as Noallia had made me fear. Noallia raised a brow as the man described me. "He has been trying to win my favor." I took that as a cue to introduce myself. I extended a hand toward the skeptical warrior. Friends call me Amma." He sheathed his sword and clasped my forearm. "And are we friends?" I held his forearm in return. "I would like to be. It is the reason I have come here today." He kept a hold of my arm and turned his head to Noallia. "And you trust that?" An excellent question. She shrugged. "I trust him enough to thank him for his help and send him back home." The man let go of my hand. He still hadn't named himself. "His help?" I waved the dead Lisbeth by the fire. "As skilled as the dragon-favoured defender of the hills is, even she could use backup when trying to protect 4 non-combatants from 3 shadow monsters." "We are backup," he hissed at me. I nodded. It wasn't my intention to insult the first mountain warriors I met. "I'm sure she would have held them off until you arrived. I'm still glad that my arrival gave me an opportunity to prove my good intentions." Noallia rolled her eyes. "You can't prove your good intentions when I know this display was motivated by a desire to convince me you mean well." I turned to face her, ignoring the other men. "I mean well enough to risk my life to be helpful. Surely that counts for something." "It is paltry compared to what you suggested." "What?" My jaw fell. "If risking my life is paltry, what would it take to convince you of my sincerity?" She waved at the dead shadow monsters. "All I know about you is that you're a powerful warrior with an arrogant tilt to your voice." She glanced at the 2 other men. "And that my brother believes you're an undefeated terror. Killing my enemies does not make you my friend." I shrugged. "It doesn't make us enemies either." Her brother stepped closer, wrapping his hand around his sword hilt. "It might. If you're plotting something, providing a convenient protection might make us lower our defenses against you." I stepped back and spread my hands to my side. Again, if this man was Noallia's brother, I needed to start all over in convincing them that we should work together. "What would you like to know about me?" "Why you're in our mountains," the brother answered immediately. I nodded, resting my arms at my side. "To convince your sister to marry me." "What?" Both men cried out and rushed toward me. I let them shove me to my knees, trusting Noallia's reputation. Her sense of justice should not let them attack someone who had just saved people she cared about. "Dirty ashes," one of them muttered. "How many weapons do you have on you?" "Referent," Noallia rolled her eyes as her brother yanked my arms behind my back. "He's a threat," the brother hissed back. "He could take out half our tribe with the armor he wears on his back." She planted her arms on her hips. "First of all, that's an exaggeration. Secondly, he could have killed our people already, but instead he helped them." This was going better than expected. Her brother had twisted the situation, so she chose to defend me instead of argue with me. "He's no threat. Help him up. Noallia, he is literally undefeated." She glared at her brother but said nothing. A few seconds later, he released my wrists, tugged me to my feet, and stood at my side. "His battle record makes him a threat." One of her brows lifted at me. "Undefeated?" I smirked and bowed graciously. Her lips pursed as I stood back up. "That's because you haven't fought me yet." I laughed, and it wasn't a fake laugh. She was worthy of her reputation, and her confidence delighted me. I would be honored. "No." Her brother stepped between us, worry hovering in his glare. "His plan is revealed. He will kill you and make our people slaves." My brows twisted in an incredulous look. "I would never make a slave of another person." A vein on his temple throbbed, while his fist tightened around his sword hilt. "Then you'll slaughter our people as fodder for your undefeatable reputation." I balled my hand into a fist to keep from pulling out a knife. "I have never killed an innocent." I turned my gaze to Noallia. "The only people I have ever killed were actively trying to hurt my people." My voice lowered. "I protect my people at all costs."